Good day everyone, my name is Alex and welcome to a new review. For today I have the first smartphone using the Mediatek Helio X27 CPU, and this phone is called the UMI Z. This is the latest flagship from UMI. The phone is made out of metal and glass, and the design reminds me of the iPhone 7 Plus and the OnePlus 3T, so it's a combination of the two. Since we have a 5.5-inch screen, the phone is rather large and it is a bit difficult to actually use with one hand. For specs, as I said before, the phone has the Helio X27 CPU, we have 4GB of RAM, 32GB of internal storage, and the phone is currently running Android 6.0.1, however we are waiting for an update for Android 7. The back of the phone is made out of metal, and I have to say that this doesn't look like a phone that costs about $250. So we also have a 13 megapixel camera there, we also have laser focus, a dual tone flash and the UMI logo. The sides of the phone are also made out of metal. On the right hand side you're gonna find the power button and the volume keys, and on top you're gonna find a 3.5mm audio jack. The sound coming out of the 3.5mm audio jack, it's clear and crisp, we have a lot of bass, but it doesn't get that loud, so that is a bit disappointing. On the other side of the phone we have the slot for the SIM card, and you can either install two SIM cards or an SD card and a SIM card. And since we have Android 6.0.1 running on this device, you can easily install an SD card as internal storage, and it's very easy to do so. Out of that 32GB of internal storage that comes with the phone, we actually have about 26 left, but the speeds that I got for the internal storage are really good. Moving to the bottom of the device, here we have what looks to be like two speakers. However, only one of them is a speaker, the other one it's actually a microphone. The sound coming out of the speakers, it's loud, very loud, but it does get a bit distorted at the maximum volumes. Previous UMI devices are using a rather strange USB port, however that's not the case with this one, and you can actually use any USB-C that you have at home. The phone also supports OTG, so you can plug in any USB stick that you have and the phone will be able to read that. And this phone also supports fast charging, however it will still take you about an hour and 50 minutes to fully charge this phone from 0 to 100. As for the battery, we have a 3780 mAh battery inside this phone, but the battery life it's not as good as we've seen on the UMI Plus or the UMI Plus E. So I was able to get about 4 hours and 20 minutes of screen on time, which is not the absolute best, but it will depend from user to user and what you do with this phone. On the front, starting at the top, we have the front-facing camera, we have a speaker, a couple of sensors and an LED notification light that can change colors. The front-facing camera, it's a 13 megapixel sensor made by Samsung. The pictures that I took with it look pretty good even in low light conditions, and these are a couple of examples of pictures that I took at nighttime and in daytime. The 5.5-inch screen used for this phone has a resolution of 1080p and it's made by Sharp. The colors on the screen are nice and vibrant, we also have very good viewing angles, and the screen does seem to get quite bright. However, there is a lot of glare and reflection on the screen depending where you are. As for screen sensitivity, I found the UMI Z better than all the other UMI devices from the past, so you can touch the screen in 5 places and the screen will register. There is also some type of scratch resistant glass covering the screen, because I tried to scratch it on a couple of occasions and it doesn't seem to get scratched. And lastly, at the bottom of the device we have 3 buttons, and this is the part that I dislike the most about the UMI Z. So most Android devices would have a multitasking button, a home button and a return key. For some reason, UMI decided to use the multitasking button as a menu button, and to actually enter the multitasking mode you have to hold the home button pressed, and that takes a lot of time and you actually have to get used to it, and it is a bit annoying, to be honest. Leaving that aside, and I could probably live and get used to actually multitasking with the home button has a fingerprint scanner inside, and this fingerprint scanner, even though it's accurate 10 out of 10 times, it is very slow, so it's probably the slowest that I've seen in quite some time. However, I don't believe that the fingerprint scanner is the one that's actually slow, because if we have the screen on, the phone unlocks right away. However, if the screen is off, it takes a while for the phone to turn on. So I believe that the problem comes from the phone turning on, not actually from the fingerprint scanner, and hopefully they can fix this in a future software update. And for those of you that like on-screen buttons, you have the ability to actually turn on the on-screen buttons on this device. And because I've seen a lot of comments regarding those 3 cases that I got with the phone, well, most likely you're gonna have to buy those cases if you want them. So the first one was in a shape of a Z, and I kind of like that, but realistically it's not really gonna protect your phone that much. And then we have 2 other ones that could be useful. Myself personally, I would use the last one, the silicone case one, because it just looks very small, very slim, and well, we can barely see it on the phone, so I think that one looks the absolute best. Since I mentioned multitasking earlier, the phone is very good for multitasking, so that 4 gigs of RAM that we have inside this phone helps a lot, so you can keep as many apps as you want open in the background and the phone will not close them. Performance-wise, this is a very fast phone, so I could compare this with the OnePlus 3T, with the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, with the Google Pixel or anything like that. The scores that we get on the Antutu benchmark and on the Geekbench 4 are very good. And since this is related to performance as well, all the apps that I tried on this phone worked really good. So for example, Chrome, you can scroll, zoom without any issues. On the YouTube app, you can watch any videos at a maximum resolution of 1080p. And of course, the videos do go very smooth. As for gaming, you can see a whole bunch of games that I played in that gaming video that I posted on the channel yesterday. For now, the UMI Z is using Android 6.0.1, however, there will be an update to Android 7 coming very soon and I can't wait to actually see how Android 7 will work on this phone. I'm glad that UMI decided to use their skin that's very close to stock Android, so if you look at this or a stock Android phone, you wouldn't actually see that much of a difference. And of course the launcher and moving in between apps, opening apps, moving between screens and so on does work very good. The settings app, it's also very simple, so we don't really have any added features that realistically nobody's gonna use. So the only added features that I've seen there are the buttons, the on-screen buttons that you can actually turn on or off. Other than that, we don't really have that many features. And for languages, like most Android devices that you've seen from China, we do have a lot of languages available. The GPS unit inside this phone, it's average, and I say average because it takes a few seconds to actually connect to the satellites, and it is a bit slower than most flagship devices that I tried. So after it connects, it does work very good and it doesn't seem to get disconnected. And of course I tried Google Maps and it does seem to work very good as well. As for sensors, we do have a whole bunch of sensors available and none of them seem to be fake and they all seem to work okay. On the back of the phone there is a 13 megapixel camera that's made by Samsung as well, and this camera can record in 4K. So I'm going to show you a sample of a video that I recorded with this phone in 4K. However, keep in mind that everything outside is kind of grey, it's winter, so we don't really have that many colors to see in this video. But here is how the sample looks. And there is also laser focus available for this camera, and that helps the camera a lot to actually focus so you can take pictures faster. And moving to the camera app, so first of all we have a very good looking camera app. There is a Pro mode in there as well and we have a whole bunch of options in there. But with the Pro mode you can basically change anything that you want on the camera so you can take better pictures. It really depends how you like taking pictures. All the pictures that I took and I'm gonna show you are actually taken with the auto mode. Now, there is an HDR mode in there as well, and the HDR mode it's quick, so whenever you take pictures with the HDR on, they're rather quick. However, all the pictures that you take with the HDR mode on are overexposed, and this is an example of a picture with the HDR mode on and with the HDR mode off. And I'm gonna continue showing you pictures that I took in daytime and at nighttime. As you can probably tell, the pictures that I took in daytime do look rather good. The colors are nice and vibrant and there is a lot of details in the pictures. As for the nighttime pictures, as you can probably tell, the pictures do look better than a lot of other devices available on the market. However, they are a bit grainy and the focus is kind of soft in most of the pictures taken at nighttime. For connectivity, the phone can connect to the 4G networks, and here in Canada I was actually connected only to the 4G networks. I've only seen the phone on 3G once, so yes, it is connected to the 4G constantly. We also have dual band Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Bluetooth connectivity works great because I played a whole bunch of games using a Bluetooth controller, and the speeds that I got over 4G and over the Wi-Fi are really good as well. And believe it or not, we can even make phone calls on this phone, but I only made one phone call. However, the call quality it's average and I haven't found anything bad about it or amazing or anything like that. So the call quality is average. And I think that I covered pretty much everything about the phone. So I love the cameras, they're better than a lot of the cameras available on the market for this price range. The battery life, it's acceptable, the screen looks awesome, but the only thing that I don't like about this phone is the fingerprint scanner, so it's just too slow for my taste. Maybe because I'm coming from flagship devices, but yeah, it's definitely way too slow for my taste. Hopefully it can be fixed or improved in a software update in the future, and since we are getting that Android 7, maybe it's gonna be fixed in that. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.